I am Belore at Periman, Seattle, Washington, known as the Dry Eye Master, and all we do all day, every day is treat dry eye disease. It's awesome. I know that sounds a little crazy, but it's actually a heck of a lot of fun, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you why preoperative diagnostics are so very important in identifying and treating dry eye before you do cataract surgery. So this talk is measure twice, cut once. I grew up in the wilds of Montana, raised by wolves. So measure twice, cut once. When you're building a barn, you got to do that. But also, you know, when you do cataract surgery, you're about to put a wedding ring on the rest of your lifetime vision. So maybe you should prepare a little bit, right? So that's the importance of treating dry eye before cataract surgery. And these are my financial disclosures. Okay, so prepare for the big day, wedding day. Inflammation, preoperative inflammation, dry eye inflammation is the relationship killer, okay? We're gonna review the ASCRS preoperative guidelines, and we're gonna understand where the dry eye treatments come in so that we can have a wonderful wedding and a happily ever after. You know the saying, happy wife, happy life? Same thing with cataract surgery. Anyway, so think about the optical performance of the eye. It's compromised by the air-tear interface. That's where dry eye comes in. And the IOL calculations very much depend on that air-tear interface and the state of the cornea. That top row represents the wavefront aberrations of an untreated dry eye patient. The bottom row is after treatment. Which one is a premium IOL candidate? Top or bottom? Bottom, that's right. So, inflammation is the relationship killer that can take the whole situation from a love to a hate situation, right? If you don't address it beforehand, you're gonna have problems with satisfaction, performance, and quality of life. This is why we take attention to it. Inflammation is a thing that'll rub everybody raw. This is me at the end of a 5K race, and I'm a molecular immunobiologist before I went to med school, and I saw, this was at the, in Seattle, we have the Fred Hutch Cancer Research Institute, and this is the Women of Wonder race. And I see this woman from across the way, I'm like, I gotta go talk to her. And I go up to her and I say, pardon me, but are you an activated T cell? And she's like, yes! And we were like, just had this like bonding moment. I'm like, God, that's amazing. She's got receptors hanging everywhere. She's got her DNA that's open and actively transcribing inflammatory messengers. Anyway, it was a special moment. So inflammation is critical to identify. We're about to cut into a situation where the nerves and the dendritic cells are on high alert. This is dry eye creates a system where, or it creates a response that's wound healing on overdrive. If you're driving a Yugo, you can't go much more than 55. And you're about to insult that situation. You're about to pop a tire. You're going to go careening off course. Pay attention to the surface. Respect the surface. The entire lack of a functional unit gets worse. If you're a dry eye TFOS Deuce 2, dry eye level 2, what happens when you do surgery? Do you go more severe in a level, or do you get better in a level? More severe. That's right. So we're going to set everybody up for success. How do we identify that with our pre-op diagnostics? Well, inflammation and osmolarity have a key important role. Osmolarity is abnormal, or MMP9 is abnormal, in about half of our preoperative patients. This is a Duke Cornell Weill collaborative study with my friends Priya Gupta and Chris Starr. There's significant implications for postoperative refractive errors. My friend Alice Petropoulos published that landmark study showing that hyperosmolarity can lead to topographic errors and refractive surprises, sometimes up to 2 diopters. That makes everybody on the eye care team look like a 0. You absolutely have to identify this beforehand. So again, like I said before, we've got this wound healing mechanism on overdrive. All those inflammatory cytokines have an impact on the corneal epithelium. You have this decrease in the corneal epithelial cell density, 4-fold, with dry eye disease. And you can get 4-fold improvement when you treat it with immunomodulators. The corneal nerve subbasal plexus improves after. This is before treatment. This is after treatment. Think about this before you go shoving a blade into this. This is the most innervated tissue in the body. It doesn't matter what your surgical approach is. You're going to hit a trunk of the tree. You get a temporary neurotrophic keratitis on top of your already wound healing overdrive situation. So what are some of the things we can do about it? Let's see if this video is going to play. Nope, it's not going to play, but that's all right. You can actually see tear volume coming up. You can actually see meibum coming out of the, there we go. You can see meibum coming out of the terminal ductules under neural stimulation here. And the patient feels much better with neural stimulation, right? So when you have a corneal insult, chronic contact lens overwear, Sjogren's disease, LASIK, post-cataract surgery, you can bypass the electrical wiring of a healthy tear production, the lack of a functional unit. You can bypass it with neural stimulation. Intranasal true tear was the first generation. Extranasal eye tear from Olympic ophthalmics, we were a phase 3 clinical trial site for that, for mechanical stimulation. And now we have intranasal method through the new Tearvia from Oyster Point. So methods of getting around that. Oh, the video does play this time. I don't know what I did different. But anyway, can you see the tear volume coming up? Do you see that? Look at the lipid. Do you see that like shiny thing there? And look really closely along here, meibum. That's like giving a woman Pitocin during childbirth. You get this involuntary contraction and some of that meibum can actually come out. So neural stimulation is here to stay. But that patient would have been better off if it had been identified and treated prior to LASIK. So what is the ASCRS preoperative dry identification and treatment algorithm look like? This is an incredible body of work. They have taken all the best state of knowledge, all the diagnostics, and created a flow chart, which is hard to do because in my mind, dry eye is anything but linear. It's so overlapping. It's much more like a Venn diagram, but they were able to do it in this fashion. And it basically says, identify and treat. Ask the questions. Ask about fluctuations in vision. Ask their symptom index, their speed score. You're about to make it worse with your surgery and your BAK-laden drops post-operatively. Ask about these things. Look, lift, push, pull. That's a mantra. Look, lift, push, pull. Does anybody here come from a farming background or livestock background at all? Now, when you're looking at a horse, you quite literally lift, look, push, pull to see the health of the horse, right? So here's an example of it in clinic. She had failed all the dry eye treatments by the time I got her, but what had been missed was her floppy eyelid syndrome, the mechanical compromise. I found that on the look, lift, push, pull. Found her rosacea, found her lateral canthal weakness, found her meibomian gland dysfunction. So that's what I mean by look, lift, push, pull. Here's her before and after treatment. Another example, floppy eyelid syndrome. This doesn't have to be an overweight former linebacker to have floppy eyelid syndrome. She's a normal weight woman, significant floppy eyelid. But you're doing all of these advanced diagnostics before you do cataract surgery in anticipation of IOL calculations. You're already doing topography. Why not choose a system that also lets you look for other danger signs of dry eye disease, that lets you look at meibomography, that lets you look at the tear meniscus height, that lets you capture a picture of fluorescein staining? Do you think that matters to your busy surgeon? It should. And this becomes a very easy way of incorporating that extra set of diagnostics to create an extra layer of reassurance for the lasting duration of the relationship, right? So we're going to take a little bit, go a couple trips together, all that kind of stuff. So look before you leap. Love the dry eye assessment toolkit. Optometrists really love it because it makes them deep dive into all these different things. For a busy surgeon, you can cherry pick the key ones. You're doing topography anyway. Highly recommend you do that. Add on the meibomography, do your tear meniscus height, your fluorescein staining, right? But you can do a whole lot more with it. The whole office can use this system for a variety of clinical applications. I'm speaking specifically to the preoperative cataract patient. These are all the other things you can do. It's a workhorse. It's got all of these different diagnostic modalities in one beautiful, sleek, European, elegant system, right? Let's see, got that. Here we go. So if you're a busy surgeon, they can buy this platform. They're scleral lens fitting optometrists, they're hard contact lens fitting, support staff, whatever this is, can also use it for what they're using. But your surgeon's like, hey, listen, oops, I wish that was a little more centered there. Pick these things, pick your meibomography, your tear meniscus height, and your fluorescein staining as a wonderful screen for red flags in the relationship, right? Okay.
Test, sound level test with a paging system.
There we go. Love the tear meniscus height. We used this extensively in our phase 3 study looking at the Olympic ophthalmics extranasal mechanical neural stimulation modality. Highly statistically significant improvements in tear meniscus height in that study. If it's low, you need to do something about it. A lot of my colleagues try to cut corners because they're under the gun to see more and more patients in less and less time. So they do their staining check with a drop of fluoresce. You've introduced a ton of volume to the ocular surface. That's going to mask your tear breakup time and your tear meniscus height. So ideally, all that stuff is done before the doc even comes in the room. It's not a heavy strain on the staff when you really pare down that preoperative cataract patient. Non-invasive tear breakup time, if that thing lights up, do not proceed with surgery. Get that much more normal before you go ahead. What happens to the light rays when the tear film breaks up like that? That's right in the middle of the central visual axis, right? Terrible visual performance. Had you made the mistake of putting a premium IOL in a patient like that, they're going to be mad at you, right? Visual performance is everything. And then the lipid layer matters as well. So definitely screen for dry eye using the non-invasive tear breakup time. Literally takes 16 point whatever seconds, the duration of the thing. Just look, stare. Capture it for each per eye. Make sure it's not lighting up. If it doesn't, you're probably okay. As long as they haven't used artificial tears when they went to the bathroom, like all those sorts of things. You get the idea. You can actually also use it to track response to therapy, which is even better. How long does it take to get a dry eye patient ready? How long do you need to date before you can feel confident about your IOL? Do you guys know what that answer is? What do you think it is? How long do you got to date? How long do you got to treat that dry eye preoperatively before you can be confident with your IOL calculations? Right, 4 to 6 weeks. That's all you need. And you can track it with this. We have excellent clinical data that I'll share with you in a minute. Conjunctival redness. Surgeons kind of don't care about a red eye. Patients really, really care. This is something that translates into their satisfaction. They don't want to come at the world with these angry looking red eyes. They care very much about conjunctival redness. You can capture it and show them that they're actually getting better. One of the beautiful things about this platform is the ability to show a patient the progress that they're making. Because here's the thing. Patients forget how bad they used to feel, and they forget how bad they used to look, right? Human beings are wired to forget pain. Otherwise, you would never give birth more than one time. Okay? So if you've got the evidence to show them that they're actually making progress, whether that's from the redness, their non-invasive tear breakup time, their corneal staining, their micromammography, whatever this is, you can show it to them. It's like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess things are better. It's like, yeah, things are better. Grading system, great for staff. You can train your staff to just use this little scale, double check them until they get really good at it. But you can have them actually enter this in and get this full screening dry eye report. Micromammography is also an important metric. Love the infrared. There's some other things you can pick up on infrared. Excess makeup, you can see on infrared, right? Sometimes you'll see it lodged in the conjunctiva, mica, things like this. So you can use your infrared for other things. I had this patient with a suspicious lower lid lesion. It was a chalazion that had been cut into a couple times, still wasn't healing up. I'm like, is this some kind of malignancy? On infrared, I could see, oh no, it's just a gland that's trying to heal. You can use it for other things. So love, love, love infrared micromammography. Did I mention I love it? I love it. Fluorescein staining, also a wonderful thing to show your patient that they are improving, and also explain to them where they're at. There's something on this slide that most people miss. Look at this picture. What do you see? What do you see here? Is this a healthy lid? No? What are these? What lives there? Oh, nasty. I will save a house spider all day long, but those guys gotta go, right? They're absolutely a problem. As our innovations come about, I think we're gonna see a shift and a huge advance in how we treat these patients. Because right now we have IPL, and it controls the population. potentially if tarsus gets their approval, we'll have the ability to eradicate that, and you'll be able to capture it with your image system and show the patient just how much progress they're making. Do Demodex have an impact on meibomian gland dysfunction?
Yes.
Yes, there's 6 mechanisms to MGD. 6 interrelated mechanisms. LipiFlow had it wrong when they said it's just melting temperature and obstruction. That's 2. There are 6. I call it the beasto rar of MGD. B is bugs and bacteria. E is altered enzyme biochemistry inside the gland. I is inflammation. There's inflammation surrounding those meibomian gland cells. Those inflammatory cells are secreting toxic cytokines, gets into the stem cells. They start smoking and drinking and generally befouling the place. And the next thing you know, you have toothpaste instead of olive oil. S is stasis or meibomian gland constipation. With treatment, you can also see on meibomography improvements in meibomian gland morphology. The dilation, the constipation, the length of the gland, the appearance of the gland. You can see all these improvements as well. T is altered melting temperature, and O is obstruction. There are 6. Pupillometry. That's very, very relevant for anybody that's considering a premium IOL, right? I'm taking care of a young man who had a -8 LASIK correction, very large pupils. His topography looks like a volcano. Red and then this blue pit. And no wonder he's having all kinds of crazy visual phenomena, right? He should have done this beforehand. Should have checked into that just a little bit more. You can generate reports, and with this, you can actually customize your treatment protocol. So you don't have to spend a ton of time explaining. You can just print out to the patient, here you go, here's your marching orders, here's your honey-do list. See you in 6 weeks for your 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever this is, for your recheck of your IOL calculation measurements. I expect to see things looking a whole lot better. Lots of resources through Oculus. Support team designed to help you and your doctors be successful. Oh, there's the beasto. There it is. This is based off of peer-reviewed literature showing the 6 interrelated mechanisms of MGD. And I think I was going to actually hide those images. Ah, here we are. Here we are. Where do the drugs work? I promised you one more thing. Here's where the drugs work. Review paper that we published in 2020. A healthy system can withstand an insult, surgical, bacterial, whatever, mount a response, and then quickly return to homeostasis. You lose that with dry eye disease. So that's my whole mindset, is how do I get that restoration, that homeostatic mechanism back online? There's lots of ways to do it, including our immunomodulator medications. Initiation of inflammation, amplification, recruitment, and damage to self-perpetuation. I'm not sure if the music will play, but I'm going to show you visually where the medications work. Cyclosporin, lifitegrast, steroids, IPL, and omega fatty acids. I want you to play the song in your head. You dropped a bomb on me, baby. Here's where the meds work. You see it? Is it playing? You got the music. No music. You dropped a bomb on me, baby. These are where the medications work. This is all based off peer-reviewed literature. It took me so long to create this slide. And this is just simplifying everything. Initiation, amplification, recruitment, damage, self-perpetuation. You can see that here's where all the tools work. Fabulous. Remember when I asked you early on, how long does it take to rehab a dry eye? How long does it take to date before you're confident of your measurements before cataract surgery? The answer is about 4 weeks. These are new papers showing that you get significant improvements in higher aberrations, speed scores, and post-operative accuracy with twice-a-day lifitegrast, and also in 6 weeks with twice-a-day cyclosporin. So you can get there fast. You can show the patient their progress. You can create adherence to therapy. Now layer on your other therapeutics. Inflammation's under control. Osmolarity is better. I got to clean up this keratopathy. He's not ready for cataract surgery. This is just 6 days later. Keratometric improvements. This is a referring doctor's keratometric readout. This isn't on yours, but I wanted to share it with you. When you full court press into all this, you can start to see meibomian glands morphology improved on the meibomography, improvement function in the quality and the quantity of what comes out, and improvements in topography. Would you do a premium IOL in that cornea? Would you do one here? Right? Much, much better, much more normal. Her best corrected vision improved to 20/40, I believe, after treatment with IPL therapy. So when you layer all these things together, we're trying to create the biggest health for our patients, the biggest impact on their success as patients, not only medically, but also surgically. So prepare for the big day, right? Inflammation's the relationship killer. Remember your ASCRS guidelines are really pretty simple. Identify and treat. Treat early, treat often. It's really pretty darn simple. And then understand where the medications and the treatment interventions come in, such as in-office lipid modalities, deep cleaning, and IPL, which is my favorite. All right, additional references, peer review. That's it for the talk. I think I finished right on time, but I'll stick around and answer questions. Thank you so much.